Hello and welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. My name is Joris and today I'm going to talk about three multi-factor global distributing UCITS ETFs. So ETFs from the European continent. And when I talk about multi-factor, I have to talk about factor investing first. And when you are doing factor investing, you're focusing on one or maximum two factors like the following. So you have a value factor where you select companies that are undervalued. That should be your aim when you are value investing. When you are investing to invest into quality stocks, you are trying to select companies with good fundamentals. So they have good earnings, they have good profits, they have low debt. So that has to do with accounting and the annual reports and stuff. So it can be boring, but yeah, quality and value for me, that's two main factors where I put a lot of focus on myself. Then you have volatility, where you select companies with a low beta. And beta is the factor that indicates how much your stock is fluctuating compared to the whole market. So when it has a beta of 0.8, it means that your stock will go up on average only 80% of what the market does, and it also goes down only 80% of what the market does. So when the market drops 50%, your stock is going to drop only 40%. And I say only, but 40% is quite a lot. But still, it moves less than the global market. And sometimes a lot of people like that because they want to maintain their capital. And yeah, then low beta is key. But in my opinion, it doesn't say that much because one time when they give a bad result in one quarter, it can drop suddenly 20%, while the market is only down 1%. So you're not that much with a low beta or a high beta. In my opinion, it doesn't say that much. Another thing, momentum investing. So there you focus on companies that are in a good flow. Like example, now the artificial intelligence companies, they are truly in a good flow. So when you focus on those companies right now in your investing strategy, you're a momentum investor. Multi-factor ETFs, they try to combine all those four factors and sometimes even more. But this is a simplification, what I depict here on this slide. So for details for your ETF, always read the prospectus of the ETF that you want to invest in. You can find the prospectus on the site of the distributor of your ETF. So I'm going to talk about three ETFs today, and it's the H41J, and that one is on the GETX and on the London Stock Exchange, where it's called HMWA or HMWD. I'm going to talk about the IQSD, and that one is on the German stock exchanges and on the Italian stock exchange, and it's a GETX and the etc. I think it was. Then you have the KOMR. It's not a O, it's a 0, so K0MR. And that one is on the German stock exchanges and on the SIX stock exchange. So as you know, when it's in black, it's on the SIX stock exchange. When it's in orange, it's only on the SIX stock exchange. And when it's in violet, you can't buy it on the SIX stock exchange. It's only on foreign stock exchanges. I repeat this for people that are not used to watch videos on my YouTube channel. So that's always the case in my videos, and it's not different in this video, of course. And it's important to say that everything on the slides that I'm going to present in this video, it's all from the GetX stock exchange from Munich, and everything is in euros. So on the London Stock Exchange, the H41J is also available in pounds and in they even in dollar, but on the K0MR is available in Swiss francs on the SIX stock exchange, and the dividend is distributed in US dollar. But by doing everything in euro, I think they are more easily comparable compared to each other, and I always like to do that. Sometimes it's a bit confusing. Sometimes I do everything in dollars, sometimes I do everything in euro, sometimes I do everything in Swiss francs. But for this video, everything is in euro. So the first one, H41J, it's the HSBC Multifactor Worldwide Equity UCITS ETF, which is actively managed by HSBC, and it invests into the developed and emerging markets worldwide, and it focuses on value, momentum, quality, low risk or low beta, and size. And the size means the market capitalization, so large cap, mid caps, and small caps. And here you can see the ISIN code. As you know, it's always on the slide here. And the total expense ratio for this ETF is 0.25%. And currently on the GetX, it's 26.77 euros. On the GetX, it's also distributed in euros, the dividend. And there are currently 457 holdings in this ETF. And there is 1,151 million invested into this ETF. And it's a fully replicated type. So I like fully replicated ETFs and sampling ETFs. I only talk about two synthetic ETFs on my YouTube channel, and that's QYLD and XYLF. So I'm going to keep it that way. So today only fully replicated and one sampling ETF. The past year it's up 20%, the past 3 years it's up almost 30%, and the past 5 years it's almost up 77%. So quite a nice performance of this ETF. It distributes 4 dividends per year in January, April, July, and October. But that's the ex-coupon date. So keep in mind, HSBC, they are really slow in paying out the dividend, certainly for this ETF. So you have to wait almost 4 weeks until you get paid out the dividend. So keep this in mind when you want to invest in this one. The dividend yield is almost 1.7%, which is quite nice as well. And the distributions are also quite evenly distributed across the quarters. So in this regard, I like this ETF quite a lot. Then you have IQSD. I forgot to put it in violet here. That's my mistake. The Invesco Quantitative Strategies ESG Global Equity Multifactor UCITS ETF, which is also actively managed by Invesco. It invests only in developed markets, so not in emerging markets. The stock selection is based on the ESG criteria, so this is another factor that is taken into account in this ETF. And it also takes into account the momentum, quality, and value factors. And this one is totally hedged to euro, so here I'm not doing anything wrong when I give everything in euros. So with a total expense ratio of 0.30%, it's a bit higher than the H41J. The price on the GetX is right now 56.06 euros. There are 192 holdings in this ETF. How much is invested in this ETF? I couldn't find anything, so I put a question mark here. But it's still a young ETF, so it started on the 7th of September of 2022, and the past year it's up almost 26%. Also distributes 4 dividends per year, so also quarterly, in the most common months for distributing quarterly dividends, so March, June, September and December, and the dividend yield is almost 1.50%. And here you have once again a common thing. So in June there is a higher distribution. This year I think it's going to come, but I haven't found something for the 14th. So yeah, I think it's going to be announced next week what the distribution is going to be. And then it's the KOMR, and the O is actually a 0, so that's also really important. The LNG Gerd Kommer Multifactor Equity UCITS ETF that seeks to track the Solactive Gerd Kommer Multifactor Equity Index. The index tracks small, mid and large cap stocks from developed and emerging markets. So here again, developed and emerging markets. The country weighting is based 50% each on market capitalization and country GDP. The weighing of individual stocks is based on several factors like size, it's small, mid and large cap, value, quality, investment and momentum. What they mean with investment, I don't know. You have to check it out in the prospectus. And yeah, they put out quarterly, I think, also an investment guide about this ETF, so you can check that one out as well. And IPOs, so first public offerings or initial public offerings, and stocks with a high involvement in securities lendings are excluded. So that means that stocks that are actually being shorted are avoided. The stocks included in the index are filtered by minimum standards of ESG criteria. So here ESG again plays a role in this ETF. It isn't mentioned in the name, but when ESG is mentioned, I think it's always a good thing. So we need to push the ESG norms a bit, we as investors. Sadly enough, the total expense ratio for this one is 0.50%. So the currency on the GetX is euros, and it's momentarily 10.66 euros. There are 3,261 holdings in this ETF, which is quite a lot. Certainly when you look at the invested amount in this ETF, only 45 million. But once again, it's a sampling ETF and it's only been around since the 14th of June of 2023. I know 1 year it should be visible already, but it started trading. So it started on the 14th of June, but I think it started trading a little bit after. So we have to wait for another week or so to have the 1 year performance. But since its inception, it's up 14.10%, which is not that great because the all world is up a bit more, and I will show you that in a few seconds. Also 4 dividends per year, so quarterly, the same months as the previous one, and a dividend yield of almost 1.60%. So they are all comparable there between 150 and 180. And here you can see the distribution. So here actually it was in March where the distribution is quite a bit higher than the other distributions. So 3 months ago they had the highest distributions and distribution until now with 0.07673 euros. But as I said, 14.10%, it's not that great. So as a conclusion, only the H41J from HSBC is around long enough to say that it performs decent, with same returns as the VWRL from Vanguard, the FTSE R World. As you know, this one also invests into the emerging markets and the developed markets, just like the FTSE R World. So when you look at the performances, 20% for the H41J versus 19.3% for the VWRL, and over 3 years it's 29.8 versus 30.3. So there the VWRL wins. But on 5-year performance, both are up 76.9%. So not that big of a difference, except the VWRL has a lot of more stocks in it compared to the H41J. So if you look at it that way, they did a good reduction in the amount of stocks. Then the IQSD, I'm still a little bit annoyed that I forgot to put the IQSD in violet on the slides when I talked about the IQSD, but here at least it's again in violet. It is performing good in the past year. So the MSCI World Index is up 22% and the IQSD is up 25.7% in the past year. But it is still early to say whether or not they can keep this up. So we have to keep checking this, and I will do this for sure. And then the K0MR, they have 3,261 holdings versus 3,646 for the VWRL. So both invest in developed and in emerging markets, but with a total expense ratio of 0.50%, the K0MR is actually losing for me. It's more than double, and I know the iShares MSCI World, that one has a total expense ratio of 0.50 as well, but there as well I said that it's quite high for iShares, for BlackRock, and I don't like it when a lot of firms can offer total expense ratios of 0.2 up to 0.3%, and then suddenly there is another one and they say, for me it's 0.50%. Yeah, it's quite a lot. And about the performance, it's actually still too young to compare the first year performance, but I think it's only 1 week and we will know it. And it's only up 14.10% compared to the 19.3% for the VWRL. So there it's underperforming a bit. So I'm not that convinced of the K0MR. It's the only one available on the SIX stock exchange. So I'm not buying any of these three. Sadly enough, this one isn't available on the SIX stock exchange. When this one would be available on the SIX stock exchange, I think it's a valid option to invest in this one. But for me, as I am living in Switzerland, I have to wait to find a good multi-factor ETF to convince me to start investing into it. So with that being said, I thank you for watching this video. Please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Hit that like button as well. It helps out the channel to be distributed more to other possible viewers. And thank you for watching, and see you on the next one on my YouTube channel. Bye.